Hey guys, JJ Heyman here.
Hey,
With
JJ.
Chris. Chris, thanks for being on. Clint,
meet you.
thanks for being on with Polaris Solutions. And let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Clint, we'll go ahead and start with you. What got you into technology?
Oh, what got me into technology? Oh, wow. So I've been a Commodore 64 brat from
Awesome.
the time I was about 11, and I graduated from that to an Amiga. And then
That's a common
Yeah.
isn't
up
it?
here.
Isn't it?
Yeah. From
especially-
our guest as always. Yeah.
yeah, child of the 80s. That was
Yeah.
kind of the day, and then we're getting into the working world. Of course, it was PCs.
Absolutely.
So moving over to PCs. My first Windows machine was Windows 1.0 at college.
Wow.
Came on floppies. So
Right.
had to use that in engineering school. And then just, I got an engineering degree, but never once in my life did I do engineering work. I wrote software from day one. And
Wow.
just kinda
So
fell in love
was
with
it just like a passion? Is this something that
Yeah,
you were
I was-
naturally drawn to?
You do it at home at night. You're writing, typing
Yeah.
in the code out of the magazines in the little C64.
Get your feedback and
Yeah. So
awesome.
just kind of natural evolution. It's
What
one of
was
those things like you knew right away that's where I was going.
Yeah, you could just feel it.
Yeah, it's
and
just- that was it.
That's cool. Because for some people, it's like something they did and they come back to,
Right.
or something maybe a family member said, "No, don't do that," and they were like, "Well, then I'm going to do it."
The irony is I didn't even know computer science was a field. Right. My dad was like, get a fundamental degree like engineering.
Engineering. All
I
right.
did. Okay.
Something useful.
And that's still kind of like the mindset, right? It's like, oh, just engineering, and you can figure everything else out from there.
Well, it is mine, and that kind of leads into what I kind of preach at these conferences when I speak. Is I like the timeless engineering aspects and the architectural aspects that don't change year over year.
Right.
Because I think the wisdom that we collect is still
Because the technology and the rapid release cycles,
it evolves, but the wisdom's still there.
Right. The foundations of what you're working off of is still,
Yep, absolutely. So
Yeah,
that's my
yeah.
passion.
Yeah, I can see that. And then that drives you to continue to do what you do.
Yep. So yeah, I came on board with Chris about 4 weeks ago, and my passion is helping teams get better, and that's what we do at Polaris.
That's awesome. And that's something that me and Kevin have noticed, and we've noticed up here is the contribution, wanting to support the community, obviously for business purposes, but for production purposes, and helping people get along and find out better ways to do things. That's been amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's mentioned it today, but St. Louis is a big small town.
Yeah,
It's
we've
big, but
heard
everybody's
that. Yeah.
connected, and we all, you can't not bump into somebody and we all try
Yeah.
to help each other out. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
and we're gonna make sure that more people know about it, so they can come the next year and the next year after that, and things like that. So, Chris, what got you into technology?
Well, it was actually an accident. My dad brought home
See, little bit of
my dad brought home a
contrast.
leading edge Model D, which was an 8088 processor, but a PC, and it had WordPerfect 5.1 on there, and then a bunch of lame games, back at the time.
Right.
So what I did the right thing is I looked at this file autoexec.bat, and I opened it up with WordPerfect, and then I hit save on it, and then the computer was broken. So I had to figure out how to batch program the computer to just boot up to a C prompt, and that
Just to at least get
yeah,
that far.
yeah, and then I didn't touch it for like 10 years after that until college, and really I was at university, and I took an econ class. I liked it. I took a computer science class. I liked it, and I said, I'll major in computer science.
Yeah.
And just kind of stayed with it ever since.
Did you
then.
guys feel that from the creative standpoint, being able to actually create these things and then see your work, was that ever a draw?
The instant gratification, I think, is something. I mean, when you're growing up, you don't have power around your environment.
Of anything.
Of anything, really. Your parents are dictating whatever you're doing.
Right.
So here's an opportunity, a little hobby where you can do something and see it pay back in some small way. And
Right.
that's what got me excited when I was getting out of high school and into college, just being able to do a little thing and make it, dance or whatever it was.
Yeah, make it happen. No matter how small it was, being able to make something
Yeah.
and then find out a lot about
Yep.
that. And I've noticed that kind of mindset, right? Like, is to find something, find out how to make it and do it, and then you learn so much from doing.
Right, the
and
journey,
The
really.
journey, right. Because I'm one of those. It's never perfect for me. I could tweak something until I die. No, I can always
Yep.
change it. I can always make it better. But it is for what it is, and then you push it
Yeah,
out the door. And
there's
stuff
really
like
a
that.
craftsman aspect to this whole thing, and how good can you make it? And
Right.
I think a lot of people you talk to at a conference, they probably have an app that they've had all their life that they just kind of keep going. And I have one of those, and it's been through VB6 through ASP.NET.
What is it?
It's a time tracking and billing system that now is running Polaris Solutions or portions of it. But it's been around for like 15 years, just
That's
because
the name broke, right?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's been rewritten several times. It's on MVC
I gotcha,
4.
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty current entity
But I
framework.
mean the idea. I
Yeah.
don't mean the actual physical, but
But it was
implementation.
broken for the record, but now it's not.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. So let's get into why you guys are here and what you're doing, and we'll start with you about your talks.
Sure. So a little history. So I was formerly with Microsoft as an evangelist and helped in the marketing and getting started with the community here in St. Louis. So a big part of working with the .NET user group here and working
awesome.
with the guys that founded that to start this conference. So helps.
That's a big deal.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It's been
Yeah.
incredible seeing the 6 years this thing's grown, and so worked with them as organizers to kind of get it started. Got some money to go do a
Yeah.
code camp in a basement at WashU. Kind of kicked it all off.
Yeah.
And then people sitting on the floor out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then every year just grew and grew and grew. So that's what got me into this. But what keeps me coming back is the community is growing.
Yeah. And the passion's still there.
The passion's there, and
Yeah.
I like giving back at this
Yeah.
point. I mean, I like to come in and share what I know because
Love
it
you
helps,
guys,
it
man.
helps me grow.
Yeah, because I'm coming up, in the computer science world, and we're doing our thing. Without people sharing that, and wanting to get back to the community, it doesn't go. No meaningful progress happens in a way that is creative and unique.
Right.
And that is really what we need, because people are unique, situations are unique, and if we can build products to fit those situations, unique situations,
Absolutely.
we can have answers.
And again, coming back to our mission is we want to help software teams be better. And you do that by sharing wisdom that you've learned through the years and helping them avoid the same mistakes that we made. Developers are still making the same mistakes that we made when we were our first 5 to 10 years.
Because everybody can't know the same thing. I mean,
Right,
it's
right, you
impossible.
can't.
And everybody can't know everything.
Right. No matter how
But-
some people try to
Yeah.
think they do.
And the
Yeah. Or say that they do.
The
There's
Whatever.
industry has gone through, let's do certifications to get everybody on a par, on
Yeah.
level, and
Yeah.
that never failed, and that never worked. I think the thinking now is more of a apprentice journeyman master kind of model. Hang out with an older dude that's been through the ringer
Right.
and kind of through
Come in with
osmosis.
a beer
Yeah.
and tell us about the day.
Yeah.
No, but I
Luckily,
mean,
we don't look like that.
right. But the concept, right, of having
a
that
mentor. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I've always said, if each of us had a good mentor, we'd have a fantastic
Yeah.
life.
So the community is about take a little, give a little, and I think that's my approach.
And that's what you talk about.
Yeah, and I think St. Louis is by culturally, baked in that kind of mode too. It's a very great ecosystem.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've found tremendous support as far as that goes, especially locally for that. But so what specifically with Polaris Solutions do you guys do?
Well, a little bit of history. Back in 2005, Microsoft came out with the first version of TFS, Team Foundation Server. And they're going through the sales presentations, and there were studies out at the time from Gartner and Forrester that 60 to 70% of IT projects in the enterprise fail. And I was like, that is a powerful number. Why is most of what we do considered a failure and defined either late or over budget, whatever those metrics are? And that was when a light bulb hit in my head. I said, as an industry, how can we be better? Like, bridge building industry doesn't have the success rate as IT. They're
Right.
hopefully a lot better at it than we are, I think, as an industry. And it wasn't until 2008 when we founded Polaris Solutions, I think we can realize that a little bit, at least one client at a time, is how can we build better practices and bring the right tools to customers to be able to do the projects they want to do.
Okay.
It's not enough to go in there, I think, and help do code, which I think is absolutely valuable. But if you have a major impact by saying, like, how do we make the team work better? How does the whole team deliver far more? It's not just about the individual.
Right.
So that's what got us started. And with Days of .NET, the mission, I think, or one of the missions, is really about raising the bar and helping, here in St. Louis, let's all be better. Let's bring the knowledge, the mentorship, the wisdom here. And that's very parallel to kind of what we're doing, just one client at a time, if we can.
That's amazing. And we've had guests on that have said you need to have that. And as they've come up in the industry, they were on a team that changed their life. Like that team or that group or that dynamic, whatever they had going on, it clicked and it made it happen.
Like, I would much rather have a really highly functioning team than a separate bunch of individual rock stars, because I think a team working cohesively together can accomplish way more.
Yeah,
and that's what we're trying to do.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
It doesn't work with a whole bunch of wannabe leaders for
Yep.
sure. But so that's what you guys offer.
That's what we offer. Yeah. We're all about helping the teams work, and sometimes that's tooling. I mean, I think we look at Team Foundation Server as a great enabler.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not, but a lot of times it can bring a lot of value. And sometimes it's process.
Right.
You know, whether you're going agile or just trying to improve the process you already have.
So
that's some of the things that our consultants are thinking about. You
Yeah.
know?
So what's I guess what I'm trying to say is, what's a situation in which you would approach several different individuals who aren't particularly at the same locale, right? If it's a remote location, how would you address something like that?
I think there's a big play there for technology, and Clint, feel free to jump in, but I think you have to be intentional about it. You have to put the effort in, like maybe video conferencing, whatever you can do to make the communication as frictionless as possible. That could be video conferencing, it could be setting up standing conversations that you're gonna have and just force it, or at least be intentional about that. It's very easy, especially as software developers, and I have this tendency too, like I'd like to go in my hole, I'm gonna go do some code.
Oh, right.
But that's
Don't
how,
talk to me.
that's how
Nobody
you
talk
can
to me.
isolate
Hold it.
yourself from the team, right? So,
Right. Until
yeah.
I need something, and then I want to talk
Yeah,
to you.
so that's some of the things.
So there's definitely some practices you can do. If you have a virtual team and they are 90% virtually or more, you need a regular rhythm of contact between them.
Okay.
So daily stand-ups and an agile methodology really work great, because you're keeping people from being that person that goes off in the dark corner and never talks to anybody.
Right.
Um,
Because there's wealth of knowledge there.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah.
And the communication, keeping the communication flowing and keeping that channel open
Right.
just creates camaraderie and teamwork. And then I still think, and we've seen this time and time again with virtual teams, you still got to get them together in person a couple of times a year
Yeah.
to build bonding and you know,
Right.
and
That
cement
tactile.
those,
Yeah.
cement
We'll
those
talk about
friendships and
that
those
handshake.
connections.
Right.
Right.
And-
Say identification, because it's easy to pass somebody off if you don't know
Yeah.
them. It's way harder to
The
do.
minute you're just an email address to somebody else is the
Exactly.
minute you're not a real. It's not a real team working at some point.
Yeah, and we all try to not do that to people,
Right.
but it happens because of our interactions with society. So we don't want that to bleed over into the
Yeah.
professional side, basically. Because the reason why I bring that up is, especially in St. Louis, with it being pretty diverse and trying to reach out to new resources in locales that aren't necessarily in St. Louis. So that's why I kind of brought that up. And what do you guys feel about this, like the security of that? Like, say if it's over a Hangout or a Skype or there's a bunch of different clients out there. What do you guys usually work with, or who have you talked, like Cisco or something like that?
Well, in our context, I think a lot of the times we're dealing with an enterprise or a company, so maybe they've got something that they would use and they're not leveraging it, but like Link or some of those other things that are Skype. You can go. There's consumer tools that are free and available that you can use, and I would choose that over nothing.
Right.
So I think there's options out there.
Right. And approach that situation. Okay.
Yep.
So
Case by case.
Right. So what are some of your guys' success stories like that you've worked with?
I think over the last 5-6 years, you have to take a breath and think about some of those. But I know of a startup.
Oh, I know each one of her, like your own personal babe. Like after you're done with it, whoa, okay, that one's going in the books as an accomplishment.
The most rewarding thing is that I finished work at a client and they're self-sufficient. They've got a process that's working and they're highly functioning. So I know of a client up in Chicago that they had a business leader, but just developers. There was nobody in between, and we worked with them to help them vet the right CIO. We helped them put the development processes in order, and then then they launched their product, and now they're very self-sufficient. They'll come back to us all the time to ask for advice and guidance, but they don't need us to be there to do all the work that we were doing up
as
front.
A resource, as opposed to a part of, considered a part of the way that it functions. And what's some of the problems that you guys see arise a lot of the times? Is it management? Because I know that there's a situation where you've got a whole bunch of really bright individuals, or mildly bright individuals, but not a really good leader, or whatever the case may be. How's that
I
dealt
think
with?
it's very similar to architecture, and Clint was giving a talk on this morning, which was great, about the right level of abstraction. I think was something as an architect, and when you don't have the right transparency is one thing, and having the things abstracted in the right way to help a business person make those decisions. And I think most commonly, you get something broken down in that chain where it's not the right level to get it back to maybe it's dollars and cents that the business has to do. And you've got a lot of religion sometimes, or a lot of just opinions, and it's having an agnostic view about that. I don't know, you've probably had some of those situations.
Oh, yeah.
But
So communication by far, the people skills, can make or break a project, much more
Yeah.
than technical skills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
seeing a disconnect between the business side and the development side, for whoever's to blame, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
problem is everybody starts pointing fingers
Right.
and nothing gets solved.
Yeah, because when
Um,
you know, an outsider, they come in, they're like, well, I really don't, because I wasn't
Right.
there.
Right.
I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
know.
So what I've seen, specifically in projects being successful versus failures, is
Yeah.
the most I've seen is failures just didn't meet the needs of the customer. It wasn't that they were over
Gotcha.
budget, because budget can be managed.
Mhm.
Wasn't that they were late, because you can always, if your team is on fire, you're continually ready to ship whatever you've got anyway.
Right.
It didn't meet the needs.
And that's where
sorry,
like
go
a
ahead.
product owner is really important. That's an agile term, but it's as a business
Bridge,
person
yeah.
that's highly involved in that project. And
Right.
some of the anti-patterns are that person goes on autopilot. But that having them aligned with the project and the business is that bridge.
For
I
so
think.
many years, IT were the wizards that, you know, the business would come and say, we want this, and go wave your magic wands and tell us
Yeah.
when we're done.
Right.
The
And other people in the
waterfall
company literally think that they're wizards.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
like elves and
Well, they
fairies
use
and
big
stuff like
words. They
that.
use big words,
Right,
and
right.
they
They
don't
create
question
magical
us.
things, right? And so there's that
It's like
temptation.
having coffee with Einstein. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you saying to me?
There's
right?
that temptation to just throw your needs over the wall and
Right.
just, oh wow, they're going to give us something great, right?
Yeah.
And that works in a small
Yeah,
scale, but
yeah.
once you start running an enterprise,
It's a whole.
yeah,
other
you
ballgame.
got to have tighter communication.
Yep.
So I think that to me is the biggest success factor. you
Six pass or fail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. If you're
Yeah,
not
that's
in tune with what your business needs and getting access, a lot of times, you know, the agile methodologies preach close connection with your customer. If I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, talk to that customer right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't guess,
Yeah.
don't wait, don't
Yeah.
put it off on someone else to
Active
go.
communication,
Yeah, don't
right?
put it off on
Proactive.
someone else to go find
Yes.
out for you.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. And what's some of the problems you guys see going forward with what you guys do, as far as it's not necessarily the personalities, but would you see it technologies being sometimes the issue? People who are religious or whatever about a particular way of doing something or a particular brand or whatever the case, but do you see that being an issue going forward with everybody, you know, trying to hop on a specific bandwagon?
I could jump on that.
Go for it.
So I don't think it's necessarily, I think the religious wars are kind of over. I think enough of us have learned a second or third language or technology
Okay.
that we've got some more well-rounded, you know, the polyglot programmer is pretty
Yeah.
common these days. I think, I lost my train of thought.
No,
Yeah.
the future problems.
Yeah, the future problems are the technology spread. We're diverging. There's a lot of new technologies competing that do the same thing as what I do with my technology.
Oh, right.
And you know, we've got much more educated consumers that are customers that ask us for
Right.
technology that sometimes dictate the technology.
Oh,
when,
gotcha.
You know,
Yeah.
that's happened quite a bit lately. I've seen.
I think as a microcosm, you'd look at the JavaScript world right now.
Okay.
Right? There's a new JavaScript framework that probably comes out daily or weekly, right?
Right.
As Clint said, there's all these different ways to do that, and I think as a developer, it can be a little intimidating. Like, where do you start? What's the right one? And it's still shaking. It's still going through the throes of settling on what are the right ways to do some of the things that we're doing. You know, I don't think there'll ever be a cookie cutter for how you do
Right.
software.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's going to be winners and losers on
Yeah.
these
Right.
frameworks, and as that shakes out, I think there'll be some consolidation, but I don't think we're there yet.
But
Right.
we've never had more choice than we
Yeah.
have right now. It's amazing.
It's a good thing. I think it's a double-edged sword. It's good, and it has some evils too.
And what do you guys talk about when you talk about security for the future? You know, both in-house and out when you're
like
talking
career
about
security.
Yeah.
So I stick to the timeless stuff that transcends platform languages. That's why I like architecture and engineering practices, because those will be good regardless. You know,
Yeah, no matter what
we may
happens.
learn new things, which is great. That means the whole industry's evolving.
Right.
But the fundamentals still stay the same. You know, good solid foundations. That's what I
Awesome.
like to study.
And I think what I tell a lot of developers who are still working on is own your own brand. Even if you're working in corporate America, be thinking about what you're doing. Be very intentional about the way you're doing your work.
Almost like
And
yourself
likely-
as a business.
Like yourself, think about yourself as a business, because think about it. Like 30 years ago, everybody worked at General Motors. I could pick any of the big companies, and that was like the lifetime, right?
Right.
Nowadays,
You work
they
a
say
job
that's not
for
true.
20 years.
It might be in another 20 years. It's even more so that it may be a community of a lot of freelancing. But I think the way to have security for your career is have a blog, and be thinking about those things, and have your own brand, because that you take with you no matter where you go or what you do. That's you.
And be part of the community.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got to plug
Yeah.
in. If you want to continue to have a career in this field, you've got to
Yeah.
part of the
Be active
Don't
in
be
your
insular,
own career.
yeah.
And I've talked, and I've talked with a lot of individuals and who are, from around this area. Chrysler was big when
Yeah.
that let go and stuff like that. And so that was a prime example. You can't those jobs. I mean, either are not going to be there or are already gone. Where you could just sit in. Just sit there, wait, retire,
Right.
done. That's gone. So it's always this so I'm sure you guys get managers in here of over people who have to
Yeah.
see these projects. They'll tell you. Personally, I have no idea what they're saying to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to figure that out real fast. And this continuing education, right? Like, and I see that being just what it's all about.
Yep.
Like what you were just saying.
Always be learning.
I call it the perpetual white belt.
Yeah.
That's the beginner's belt in
Yeah.
martial arts.
And
You gotta
everything.
always take that mindset. I'm always learning every day.
Oh, yeah. And like
That's a good one.
sponge.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can they find, where can customers, consumers, whatever the case may be, as business owners, find you guys?
Our website is Polaris Solutions, oneword.com.
Okay.
That's where you'll see what we do and how we work. I think that there's a way to contact us right
And
from the website.
LinkedIn and all that other kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. How about you, Clint? Where can they find you?
Same thing. I work with Chris, so PolarisSolutions.com. I also have a blog, NotSoTrivial.net.
Okay.
My
NotSoTrivial.net.
personal brand.
You got a
and-
blog?
Oh, I do, yeah, and I should, since I said you should do that.
Yeah, he said,
Yeah.
here's what you
Here's
should
what
do.
I don't practice what I
Yeah,
preach.
right.
ChrisKadel.com. So that's what it is. So
Awesome. And you guys
CHRISKADEL.
got any like Twitter handles or anything like that you guys use?
Yeah, at CBKADEL.
At Clint Ed.
Well, that's easy to remember.
I need to get a last name that's
I'm
more
working on your
phonetic.
marketing
Yeah,
skills.
yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah, working on that. Well, guys,
Yeah.
thank you so much,
Yeah,
Chris.
thanks very much.
Yep, Clint,
Thanks a
thanks for
lot.
being on.
Pleasure.